I've been wanting to get my hands on this since I first saw the prototype. This, I think, really may inspire a whole new breed of small camper couples camping. Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd from Bish's RV, actually down here in Middlebury, Indiana today at the Salem and Wildwood FSX single axle plant, one of their production facilities. I literally just kicked in the door and said, hey look, I'm in the neighborhood, do you have anything I can record? And they pulled up 6 RVs for me that I'm gonna go on a marathon run through right here. So big special thanks to the guys down here on zero notice pulling some stuff up. Today we've got one of their new floor plans and one I am very excited to look at. A little bit similar to something you might have seen on our channel before, but this is a simple, easy, no slide solo or couples camping model with something that you just almost never hear in like the market at all. A private rear bedroom in a small single axle camper. It is virtually unheard of, and I like this thing. I like this thing a lot. So starting right up front, we've got this giant wraparound U-dinette that could work great. Like, what if you're like a single parent and sometimes you have your kid come with you on the weekend? That can fold down into a big sleeper. Or, you know, when cousin Ricky's woman kicks him out, you know, he's got a place to crash. And for a small camper, the kitchen doesn't suck real bad. It's also got this really crazy kind of, either way, I'm gonna call it the AC/DC refrigerator door because it goes both ways. But you've got a private middle bathroom and a fully private rear bedroom in this with a walk-around bed and awesome mega-sized campsite viewing window. You wake up in the morning and you hear the William Tell overture. You can look outside and see nature. Crazy. Now we're looking at it today in a Wildwood. Salem is the same thing. We're looking at it today in their Platinum package, which is fiberglass exterior skin on the sidewalls and rear wall. Normally this would have aluminum skin sidewalls, so we're looking at some optional stuff like the solar package today. I want to show you what this one does that I think is really cool. It's got a couple little glitchy, weird things that you might need to work through or whatever, but I want to give you a fair estimation of this one. I think this is cool. Let me know what you think about this, because I think you're going to see more stuff like this coming out in the future. Now, if you're familiar with the FSX series, right away one of the first things you're noticing is they have significantly lightened up the decor here. Although last year they had like, it was almost a sky blue gray kind of color, they've gone to just like a very light, almost classic honey oak, that sort of natural wood tone color. And it really speaks to me, because when I was about knee-high to a grasshopper, that's kind of what campers looked like. That, by the way, down at the bottom on the right, that box is the furnace. This is not an RV with centrally ducted heat. It is not an RV intended to be some Arctic Four Seasons monster or anything like that. I do like they're right by the door. You got a 1, 2, 3, yeah, you know me, Octopus Fight Club acting like coat hangers or dog leash latches or something like that. And if you do get the optional solar package, the charge controller is right where it makes sense. It's up by all the other switches. And I point that out because very few small campers seem to, well, not even small, very few campers, period, seem to do that. And if you're familiar, like if you've seen my previous video on, I think it's called the 169 or the 176, which is like the sister and brother to this floor plan, you may have noticed something very different up there in the ceiling that you should be very happy to see. They have done a mini central ducted air system. So it's still the same size air conditioner. And there's not AC ducts here in the living room. In the living room, you're going to want to leave that vent open to pump the cold air in here. But this model offers something single axle campers usually don't: privacy. And the walk-through bathroom did not previously have a direct way to keep it cool. Neither did the full private rear bedroom, which they now do. And that's not, like, if you watch my videos on those other models that I mentioned, you will see that in my video, those don't have central air. They do now. This video supersedes that. This video is newer, so it's going to supersede those kind of things. Now, to give you a point of perspective, I'm sitting in that dinette up front here, and the TV hookups are on the wall over that away, which is kind of a funky spot for it, but I guess it's the best they could do in a small camper like this. But I don't think this is necessarily a camper designed with the idea of watching a lot of TV. At least that's my 2 cents on it. Appliance outlets are above the window, which is a little different, but they put a pretty good sized window in, which ate up the wall space for power outlets. Notice that they did sneak a set of power outlets to the right of that stovetop over there, and some USB plugs over to the left of the thermostat to like keep your phone charged up. Now, I personally prefer like a square or rectangular sink. These currently have a circular sink, although it is pretty big. If you have a circular pot or pan, it should fit in there well, except for those with the long handles, obviously. In the case of pans, I guess maybe pots or whatever. You get the idea. My point here is it's okay for a small camper. I think a square sink would be a little more functional, and I think could probably still fit in there. But I am not a architect when it comes to that sort of stuff, so kind of keep that in mind. They've also changed up their door hardware a little bit, like their drawer pulls and stuff. And one thing I was glad to see is, I mean, if you really, really like tried to shin kick that, yeah, it's gonna hurt. But they did radius the edges off, so it's not eating into your fingers or anything like that. Down below, we have an auto detect converter. So if you put a wet battery on, a lead acid battery, or if you put a lithium battery on, it'll figure it out and it will charge accordingly. And this up front here, you may have noticed how I kind of called it a front lounge, and you can see where my butt was located in that thing over there. I gotta lose some weight. I should not be leaving that kind of signature on a seat, but neither here nor there. I am an American-sized dad bod dude. My point is, this is a wraparound bench. I'm not gonna really truly call it a lounge, because that kind of implies comfort like a sofa. I don't think this has. I'm not trying to oversell it. It is a giant U-dinette, but the table is removable, and we're going to see in just a second that that thing can also convert into a pretty decent-sized sleeper. Now, you saw outlets over by the stove by the dinette. You can see some more outlets over here. And it's not a big living room, but they have windows for your living room right where you're sitting. The viewing in this is actually not too awful bad. I saw a prototype of one of these that had a full fiberglass nose cap with a windshield. How would you feel about a windshield overlooking your dining in this model? Personally, I think that could be kind of cool. Now, speaking of dining, let's take a look at all the extra details on this, starting with that little table right there. Because it's a single post dinette, it can twist around to kind of make getting in and out of it a little bit easier. You know, if you have a whole family wrapped around this, that's going to be a bit of a hiccup. But if you have just, one or two of you, not too awful bad. It has a portable Bluetooth speaker instead of a traditional stereo system, which I think is brilliant. And again, for a small kitchen, this goofy L-shaped corner thing that they're doing is awesome. So many little campers give you exactly jack and squat for drawers. This has 3 very reasonably good drawers. Overall, I think for an RV this size, I thought it was very effectively done in the kitchen space. And you may have noticed that very interesting, double swing open door that they have right there, the AC-DC fridge door, although it's not an AC and DC fridge. So I probably shouldn't use that nomenclature. That might confuse people. My point is, the door can open either direction. What you want to make sure of, though, I learned this one the hard way. Ask me how I know. If you open it on this side, and if you don't have it fully latched, and you grab the other side, you can literally take the entire freezer door right off. So, yeah, make sure you got that latched down right there. Then through the middle, we've got a sliding privacy door that gets us into the middle bath. And something you probably never wanted to do, you have just climbed into the shower with me, because that's actually, I got myself stuffed all the way over in the shower to get you this camera angle, because I don't use tricky fisheye wide angle lenses. I like you to see exactly how things look, such as the space around that toilet. For a small camper, it was fantastic. And if you know, I'm going to point you straight down so you don't get motion sick. I want to let you know. You notice how the toilet is not in direct view of the hallway? Even though it's like an open middle bath, I mean, it has its sliding privacy doors, which is an improvement. The original version of this had swinging doors. The dual sliding doors, I think, are brilliant by comparison. You're not looking at a toilet while you're making food, you know. And again, we do have that central air duct in here up top. It is the simple little 4-inch fart fan, the dollar store fart fan, whatever you want to call it right there. It is the basic fan system. For a small room like this, it should be sufficient to get the job done. But I tell you what, if what you're looking for is a fan upgrade, I am not sponsored by these people. I just really like their product personally. Look up Hengs Vortex Fans, Hengs, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, the cheapest, best way to get a high velocity, high exhaust fan. And then just kind of rolling the footage up here, we're going to roll that beautiful bean footage. Nice rectangular shower, not a tiny little radius shower. You got to keep in mind though, the RV is only 6.5 foot tall. What that means is that if you're like, 6 foot or taller like me, your head is most definitely up in that skylight. Now, it would make more sense to me if they turned the skylight north-south with the orientation of the trailer to better cover that shower. So why didn't they do that? Well, because there's roof trusses, there's roof rafters in the way. They were able to slot that skylight directly between those rafters at the most critical point where your head's going to be. So it's maybe not how you would necessarily like it, but it's basically as good as it could be in a small camper like this. I like the fact that they made an effort. And then back here through yet another sliding privacy door, and there is like a little magnet hold back on those, we have a big campside picture viewing window here in the bedroom. So you've got a couple windows in the living room, which not amazing, but not terrible, not nothing like some campers have. Then you got this big sucker. This is, I think, really, really cool. Now, I also want to be fair. I practice a if I see something, I say something kind of policy. I've never felt I've ever recorded a perfect RV. Like the corner trim in this, it's a little bit gappy. I wish it wasn't, and it bums me out to point stuff like that out. It's a little bit of a black eye, it feels like, to ask somebody to purchase a product that isn't inherently perfect, it's different than some people said, yeah, well, you buy a bag of chips and there's broken chips in the bag. I think the difference there is you can still fully enjoy a bag of chips, even if some of them are broken, by just holding the bag up and letting them fall into your face and then just munching them. At least that's my life. I don't know your life. I just like to be real about stuff. And I hope you, if nothing else, you can just appreciate the transparency and the candor. But this room back here, sorry, back to what we're looking at. This rear room giving us a walk-around bed, albeit a camp queen, but giving us a walk-around north-south bed with a 60-inch wide bed, not like a 54-inch full-size bed or anything. This is almost unheard of. In the world of single-axle little campers, I have never personally seen something like this, and I think it is absolutely fantastic. And now that they are running at least, this is all you need. One air duct, one air conditioning duct back into this little room. I think it's absolutely awesome for a little camper the way that it is. Now, in case you're curious, there are TV hookups back here across from the bed. And, the window above the bed opens for airflow. The side windows open for airflow. This is you got the vent above the bed. Now, you may have noticed it's not a power vent fan above the bed, just a vent. And you've got storage all the way around this sucker, starting right down here. And you see that you've got, it's kind of acting like a dresser in a sense, with a somewhat smaller but hanging wardrobe tower on both sides of the bed. Full cabinet above the bed is cool, albeit it's what I call the auto close gravity feed variety. But then look at this easy lift gas strut assisted bed storage underneath of here. Remember when I said those little boxes under the wardrobe towers were kind of like a wardrobe or a dresser? You've got those 4 cube storage things under the foot of the bed. You could take them out if you don't want them there, if you want to use it like a shoe garage or something. Or they could also be your dresser space for your Crocs, socks, and undies, or whatever, other personal effects you might need to bring with you. Sounds like Jack Sparrow. Not leaving without my effects. But don't worry about how bad that Jack Sparrow impression was. Maybe I'll work that out on my own time. It's not as good as my Miss Piggy or my Floyd the Trucker guy, going down I-75, but never mind. And I make exactly that face when I do that voice. What I wanted to talk about here is not my open mic night routine. Well, I guess while I'm in here, 6.5 foot ceiling height, by the way. So I don't have to duck through anything in here, which is nice. I just fit under that doorway, but I do fit under that doorway. A little over 6 foot tall, probably about 6'2" with my current shoes on. What I want to talk to you actually about in this is one of the things that's not as obvious that is a serious point of consideration for some people is the potentially limiting cargo carrying capacity on this camper, especially in the Platinum version. The Platinum version with the fiberglass skin actually weighs more than the standard version with the maybe have an aversion to that version. Tin skin version. Tin skin weighs less on this than the fiberglass does. Because you're not actually changing the structure to a laminated aluminum framed lightweight structure when you do that. What that means is that this RV has probably just shy normally of about 1,000 pounds carrying capacity. Okay for a small camper like this. You start putting the Platinum package on, you start getting between 700 and 800 pounds of cargo carrying capacity. That might be a real problem for some folks who absolutely must keep water in their tanks to go like boondock dry camping. If you're a park camper like me, it's really no sweat. So that's one of those extra details that I want to give you to help you find your second camper the first time. And if you appreciate those kind of insights, that kind of like that might mean you don't buy this camper. And keep in mind, Bish's RV. I work for Bish's RV. If we don't sell campers, we don't make money. I'm trying to be very real with you here to help you find your second one. I want you to be as happy as possible. And if you like that, if you're new, hit that subscribe button. No, I'll always shoot you straight. We don't do hidden dealer fees. We do all kinds of other good stuff. I guess I'm plugging the company right now, but you get the idea. We're trying to be real, trying to be fair, trying to really help you find the one that works for you and not just the one that makes us the most money. So in terms of what kind of vehicle you're going to need to pull this one around, whether you get it in the standard series or the Platinum package with the fiberglass skin that we're looking at today, either way the GVW stays about the same. It's about a little over 4,800 pounds maximum fully loaded weight. Now, with the small size of this, what that kind of says to me, this would be just an absolute dream package to pair up with like a mid-sized tow package pickup, a Tacoma, Colorado, a Ranger, something of that nature. This would be a really good fit for something like that. Some SUVs will be properly equipped for this, but some may not. This is 7.5 foot wide. And that is an interesting little kind of in-between size. What's cool is you can still generally see around it pretty well going down the road, but I do always recommend towing extension mirrors. It blows me away how people will spend all this money on a truck, all this money on a trailer, and then they don't want to spend a couple bucks on just an easy safety item. Now up front here, in the Platinum package, you get a nice hard shell propane tank cover, which is kind of cool. The standard series actually does not. So the Platinum package technically is more than just fiberglass, but it's not much more than just fiberglass, being fair. Up front here, this is interesting. FSX does this a lot. They shove these little griddles in a spot that you would think would be a pass-through storage compartment. And if you look through, it, in point of fact, kind of is, but with the griddle in the way, it is not. To my knowledge, that is not an optional item. I could be mistaken on that. That has kind of been talked about a couple different ways, and I could be operating off bad info there. So you might want to verify with our local team members. But what's interesting here, like if you really didn't care for that griddle, you could always pull that sucker out. Now, the one we're looking at today does have their solar package, which is a 200-watt panel up on the roof, a factory battery and box, which is nice, and a 30-amp charge controller. But you see how these are always going to be prepped and ready for a removable portable side solar panel as well, so you can kind of double up on that. And with the 30-amp controller, I don't know what the wiring gauges are. You might need to do some checking and bulking on that. But with a 30-amp controller, you could expand the solar a little bit if you wanted to. Power awning on here with LED lighting, making seeing what you're doing pretty easy. And that is a anti-slam door, so if you do the Miss Piggy hi-ya and karate chop that sucker, well, it ain't going anywhere. In case you're curious, if you ever wonder why Miss Piggy and Yoda sound the same, it's because they were literally voiced by the same voice actor, Mr. Frank Oz. So just imagine. I actually always kind of envision Miss Piggy as the dark side antithesis of Yoda, and just imagine the two of them fighting. That would just that would be a mess, is what that would be. So in the living room, this doesn't have awesome campsite window coverage, but it's a small living room. But you do have a window in the door and beside the dinette. But back here in the bedroom area, that is some sweet campsite viewing right there. That, weirdly, I think that's one of the best places in the camper for campsite viewing. And this is kind of cool. You know what? On a more budget-focused camper like this one, if they would have just said, okay, well, there's storage under the bed, but you have to lift the bed up to get to it, I probably would have been okay with that. But they took it up a notch, kicked it up a notch like Emeril Lagasse, for those who are familiar with his work. And they opened up what I lovingly refer to as the junk in the trunk storage solution back there. And considering under that front U-dinette, there's more storage we haven't seen, this RV has more cubic foot of outside storage than I think I've seen off almost any other single axle camper. Now, they don't provide us with a factory roof ladder, but they do provide us with the prep for one of those telescopic roof ladders, and these do have a walk-on roof. Now, unfortunately, at the time that I got down here, it was the end of the day. They scrambled around at the end of the day, and they staged these units up for me, and I really appreciate it. But unfortunately, I kind of came to this ill-prepared. I don't have my normal telescopic ladder with me, like, you know, I keep back at my home store dealership. So I'm not able to get you up on the roof. I'm not able to give you a look at the solar package today, but it's a Go Power 200-watt solar panel. It's not a mystery as to what they look like by any stretch of the imagination. If we're going to be a little critical, keep in mind this is not intended to be some kind of boondock off-grid warrior kind of camper. So it's got normal tires, it has normal ground clearance, and that does mean that the sewer pipe is down by the ground a little bit. Now, because it's right next to the tire, that does mean that it's not going to dip down a lot. Like if you go up a sharp embankment, if the sewer pipe was all the way at the back of the RV, it would dip down a lot and you'd probably smash the crap out of it. Well, you don't got to worry about that near as bad here, but big speed bumps, I could see that being an issue. By the way, did you notice there are both rear and front stabilizer jacks on this? There is a full hot cold outside utility shower. There is a black tank flush system hooked up on this. And those are stupid, boring things to talk about. So why am I mentioning it? Well, that's because most single axle little campers do not have those features. Now, if you put cargo in there and it shifts with the griddle in place, you're gonna have to lift up the dinette stuff and take half the dinette apart to be able to get to it. I get that that's not awesome, but the fact is they just didn't waste the space, and they did stuff with areas that a lot of brands in a small class like this would not. Overall, considering what it is, when you think about its price point and its pecking order in the RV industry, I am very pleased, very impressed with what they have accomplished here. So once again, let me know what you think about the new model here. Now, they make two other versions of something like this with the same bedroom, the same living room, the same kitchen, although the living room and the kitchen's kind of all in one thing, or I think I meant to say same bathroom. But they make one with an east-west bed slide and just lots of storage on the campsite wall, and they make a very interesting one with an east-west bed private rear bed slide with a couple bunks across from it, which sounds insane until you see it, but I've got some videos of those things. I'll leave you a link in the description to check those out. And I'm making predictions right now. So for the last couple years, the work that they've been doing down here in the FSX division has been copied by so many high-dollar, fancy-pants, ritzy-glitzy single-axle laminated RVs. I got a feeling that no slide model that we just looked at, I think that's going to get, we're going to say RV R&D, which doesn't mean research and develop. It means rip off and duplicate. I'm making a prediction that's going to happen. What do you think is going to happen? And in the meantime, check the link in the video description if we have any of these in stock, because these have been going out about as quick as they've been coming in. That's why it's taken me this long. I had to come down here to record one because I can't keep them in stock at the stores to record one. If we have it in stock, it'll be listed right there at our website with pricing. And if not, you contact any of our stores that carry Salem or Wildwood. We're happy to get you some figures on those things. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.